everybody, I'm Chris.
I'm Adrian.
And I'm Jimmy.
Hey, and welcome to WorldView Finder episode 22.
Wow.
Hey.
Hey, we did it. So as you noticed, I am very dressed up for this episode. It's going to be a fancy
podcast.
Fancy
episode.
one.
I actually have a funeral to do later today. Priestly duties. So I had to wear a tie and pants.
And pants.
So
That's the weirdest combination.
A tie and
I
pants.
had to wear pants.
I usually wear shorts.
That's true.
All right.
All right.
You have been known.
You guys have anything good going on this week that happened, or?
No.
Nope.
Next question.
All right. Well, you guys are the
Well,
worst.
you know what? We could talk about trash or junk, but we had a guy come to our house yesterday and haul away all of our, because our town doesn't do heavy trash pickup anymore.
Yeah, they do.
Well, you have to call and they pick up one thing.
Oh, yeah, that's true.
Pick up one item.
It's
You
kind
get
of a
one
bummer.
item. Yeah. So anyway, we called a guy that hauls trash for $150. So he had 2 truckloads that
Of your
were
stuff?
piled.
Oh my gosh.
Heaping. Yeah. And
Play
you
the
just-
hoarder's intro.
You don't realize, I would not say that our house has a lot of junk in it, but
Well, now
once
it
we
doesn't.
started digging through closets and attics in the garage, 2 truckloads of trash.
There's our cat. I know we still had one.
Yeah, and the mental load that's now gone is just amazing.
Really?
Is Marie Kondo? What's that lady that
If
does?
it brings you joy.
Oh, yeah.
Kondo.
That's Taekwondo.
Taekwondo.
That's her husband, Taekwondo.
But she did all that stuff and had a show on Netflix, and then when she had kids, she's like, that stuff doesn't work anymore. It's like, I knew it.
I
Gotcha.
know, that's what everyone's backlash was, but
Yeah. 'cause-
and it was so true. But
She's fake.
anyway, yeah.
Did you
Fake
thank
fan.
those items as you departed with them?
Absolutely not. There is no reason to
threw
think
'em.
a piece of glass.
Threw him like a sack of potatoes.
Thank you for serving me in my household. Yeah, so she also found her Nintendo Switch.
I did.
Oh.
That's the biggest news of all
Wow.
time.
They lost. You've been gone a year?
2.
My goodness.
2
Just
years
gone.
we had lost our Nintendo
Where was
Switch.
it?
It was on top of a storage shelf in the laundry room in our basement. Because 2 years ago we remodeled our basement,
Oh.
and that's where we had our TV and our Switch. And so in the shuffle of things, we had set it up high so it wouldn't get damaged, and forgotten. So-
For 2 years.
Switch.
Here I come.
And it had my
Breath
game
of the
in
Wild
it.
2.
It
did.
had your
It was
name.
over
She
2
borrowed my
years.
game. I was like, I want that back.
It's gone for 2 years.
I was like,
Sorry,
I'm
we
still
lost
playing
it.
It's taken me a really long time.
Wow.
Oh, man. Yeah, so funerals and finding switches. Yeah, so this week I watched our parents had our kids on Sunday, and so my wife and I got to watch a movie.
What?
Like in one sitting.
Impossible.
It was crazy because most movies we watch now, it takes us 2 or 3 times to get through them.
Yep.
And so this one we watched all in one setting. It was the new Adam Sandler movie on Netflix. You are so not invited to my bat mitzvah.
Bat mitzvah.
I think it's bat mitzvah. Is it just ba?
Probably.
Both of them. I don't know.
I feel like it is.
Ba mitzvah.
It's for bats, though.
So a bat mitzvah is the one for the
Didn't
ladies.
they say it a bunch of
Lady
times in
bats.
the movie?
Yeah, I think they just say bar mitzvah, but there's
Okay.
because there's BAR mitzvah, which is for boys, and there's
Right.
BAT.
So it's bat.
Bat mitzvah. They're probably saying it the way, but they don't like bat mitzvah. They don't
Bat.
bat mitzvah. Yeah, it's probably like
Okay. Well,
bat,
just say it fast.
not
then,
bat.
So you're
Bad
not
mitzvah.
saying bat.
Bat.
bat mitzvah. So
They live in Florida and they honor the bats.
only on July. It was surprisingly great. Okay,
Really?
wait. I gotta go back to our recommendation things. Just because we talk about something doesn't mean we're recommending it.
Don't watch
Especially
it.
since it's an
Adam Sandler. So
movie.
you'll have to check the content.
Yeah.
But his 2 daughters are kind of the main. Like his youngest daughter is the main character in
Like
the
his
movie.
actual daughter?
His actual
Oh, okay.
his real life daughter, who plays his daughter in the movie. Like both of his daughters play his daughters in the movie, but so maybe they toned down the content some like that. There's a couple swears throughout it, a couple S words. There is talk of because it's a coming of age movie, so it's like
Teen girls.
teen girls. So she's a 7th grader, like my daughter. So I think that's why I maybe connected with this movie more than I thought I was going to.
Yeah.
Because Angela kept me like, hey, we can watch that. I was like, I didn't want to. And then I got into it. I was like, oh, man, this is great. But, yeah, just because I've worked with middle schoolers like my whole life, my adult life. And so I think they captured that essence very well of just the over dramatization of things that are not really that big of a deal, but then become a big deal because they try to get back at this person. And so it's just... the story is it's this girl's badminton.
Oh goodness!
So it's her coming of age party, and in it she's like, this is such a big deal in the Jewish community because I don't know if you've ever seen videos like in real life, like they become these giant things. Like, what celebrities can you get there? What are the food you're serving? Like, where's it gonna be? Like, it becomes all about this giant party. And so she's like, this is my moment to shine. This is when people will remember me for the rest of my life, that kind of thing. And so she wants it to be a really big deal. So her and her best friend, their bar mitzvahs are really close to each other. And so they're like helping each other out and all that. But then their friendship goes sideways.
Becomes a rival.
Over a boy.
What? That would never happen.
Of course.
Yeah. And but that's why it's so good.
Illogical.
Because it's like,
That would happen.
yeah.
For sure.
And just the way that the main girl, kind of a jerk. You kind of don't like you kind of like you. I liked her as a character, but then as I'm like watching her make her choices, you're like, you're just not a great person. But you understand why she's making those choices and all this stuff, and it was really, I liked it so much more than I thought I was going to.
Really?
So what would you say the worldview is?
The worldview is definitely a Jewish worldview. So I don't know the Jewish, like the more modern Jewish stuff as much. So there's a female rabbi. So I don't know if that's like a progressive thing for them or not.
A
but
fabi, if you will.
she is probably the greatest character in that show. She's so funny. Because like she does everything through song. And so like they're singing the song, and this girl's like, "Can I go to the bathroom?" She's like, "Go pee pee." And she's like,
It's so
like
weird.
Middle schoolers are like roll their eyes and stuff. She's like, "In the party," and she's just like singing this.
I'm not five.
As the girl's walking out, and then the rest of the class is like joining
my
in
goodness.
singing it, and so it just makes it so awkward. But she's really funny. So the idea is you have to read from the Torah in the Hebrew language, and then you also have to do the mitzvah is like a good deed, and so they're trying to figure out a good deed that fits who they are as a person, and so one of them they're like, yeah, that girl went to Coachella and passed out sunscreen. You're like, is that really
That's a good deed.
And so yeah, because some of them are like these like just
I went to Coachella.
Yeah, that's funny.
these things that are like, oh, did you hear about the Burning Man stuff? I haven't looked into it much, but apparently there's like a giant dust storm and people are stuck there at Burning Man.
Oh.
But anyways, so in it, she's like trying to figure out what her good deed is, and then she does a good deed to kind of meet this boy or get to know him better, like to work in a nursing home, and they're like. The rabbi's like, are you doing this because you're just trying to get in good with this boy? And then she's like, how did you know? She's like, I'm the rabbi. I know all.
I know.
Or something. But yeah, so the worldview is if I do a good deed or like if I like have this great party, like I will be something special. And so it's just this girl kind of realizing like her character is what really matters, and like the friendships and what she does in those friendships, like that's what like what real friendship is and that kind of thing. But also like the good deeds, like are you doing it just to please others, or are you doing this because this is coming out of you as a person? And what's interesting, there's a boy in the movie that you don't know this until like halfway through. It's not really a spoiler, but he hangs out with all the Jewish people because I think it's their school, but he comes to the school, or like he comes there off after school programs, but he goes, yeah, he's a Christian, and so he's like, I go to church on Sundays, but I want to fill the other 6 days a week with something. So he's like, I come hang out with you guys. And so it was interesting, like seeing the guy, he does these good deeds because of his Christian faith. And then they're trying to like figure out like, how do I do something good to earn my womanhood or manhood or whatever. But yeah, so So they do talk about things that happen to women during puberty, and those are some ongoing jokes. There's also this kid that they just like, he's just a nice kid, but everybody kind of just rips him, like, and it's so funny the way that it happens. They're like, because he's like, oh, I want to play this song, and they're like the DJ's like, what? He's like, that's so old, that song. It's like some Journey song or something, and he's like, and everybody just like will call him out in the middle of something. He's like, what did I do? But it was very funny and all that. But yeah, do you like coming of age movies? Is that
I like
John Hughes?
It depends on how awkward they get.
Oh, you like the awkwardness or don't?
No,
like it?
I don't really like the awkwardness. I will say though, I feel like the best coming of age movie is 8th Grade.
Which I don't even know that I've heard of that.
8th grade. That sounds familiar.
Yeah. But it's about a girl in 8th grade, of course. But I would say it's probably the most real. Watching it was really painful for me because it's like the most real or like closest that I've ever felt to it being accurate of like how I felt in that grade. So I feel like some of the coming of age are like exaggerated or at least like almost like caricatures of what happens and to make it funny or comedy's sake. But this one is probably the most real, but it is still funny. Like,
was that movie improv a lot? For some reason,
I don't know.
I maybe have heard of it, but
did it get kind of intense at the end? Like,
I don't think so.
Okay, was
No.
there? Well,
there's a lot of tension because you think like, how far are they gonna go, and so you're kind of nervous that there might be some like bad content or something, but it ends up not.
Okay,
That.
I
Like,
feel like I've seen it, but I'm not sure.
you think you've seen it?
I think I've seen it.
All right,
Yeah.
but so coming of age movie, like there's always these moments of like basically like who am I gonna be? Like what type of person? And so that's like the Ferris Bueller's Day Off. That's one of my favorite coming of age movies. And yes, of course that's over the top and like, and all that stuff. But just the Cameron story in that. Let my Cameron go. But have you seen Ferris Bueller's Day Off?
No.
Yeah.
Okay. But,
It's before my time.
yeah, before your time too. But
No, Jimmy wasn't born yet.
Yeah.
that's true. But yeah, so in this one, in the you're so not invited to my bat mitzvah, it's like this moment where this girl kind of realizes like, oh, I have been a jerk and I need to fix these things that I've like. I mean, it's almost to the point where she can't fix it. And so it's pretty, you're like, what? I mean, it goes pretty far in what she does. And so, but some of it's accidental, all that. So I don't want to give too much away. But again, like content wise, like if you haven't talked about puberty with your kids and you watch this, like they'll have some questions for you.
Have some questions.
So, but it's definitely like teenage audience. It's about a 7th grade girl. So I feel like they keep it at that level. But like one of the things I really did appreciate was the way social media affects kids, because the girl that's mad at her friend like put something on this Instagram page or something that's like for the school, like secrets of the school or something, and like just then everybody's like saying stuff to that girl and she's like, why would you say that? And she's like, oh well, I don't know. And so it just shows like how that adds another element to
I'm
the
glad
whole
I
thing.
did not grow up in that era.
Yes, it's crazy, but I'd say the overall worldview is like if you do good things, then good things will sort of come your way. Not really. And she prays a lot in it. She's like, because there's a lot of moments where it's like this voiceover. She's like, dear God, and she'll like have these conversations. She does cuss in those sometimes, which I didn't appreciate
During the prayer?
Yeah, like you can't cuss during prayer.
That's a little weird.
But
Why not?
but Adam Sandler
I think God can handle it.
he can, but in like Adam Sandler's character, I feel like it's him in real life, because like he wears like what are those weird shoes with the holes in them? Crocs. He wears Crocs.
I forgot what Crocs were.
I'm sorry.
The weird shoes
He
with the
wears
holes in
Crocs and
them.
Hawaiian
Shoes with
shirts
holes.
everywhere. They're like,
Sounds about right.
And because that's how he is on talk shows. You're like, I think this is just he's like just playing himself, and so. But
So, well, how does that compare to the Christian worldview of the Bible?
yeah, I was thinking about that because first part of the Bible is the Jewish part of the Bible.
Right.
And so
A lot of bar mitzvahs in there.
But do you feel like, well, we can't really speak to Jewish culture, but
yeah.
you know,
Yeah. Because I know there is more liberal Jewish
right.
culture stuff that they don't really believe the Bible or anything. And so I feel like this
It's
one,
more heritage and where you came from.
yeah, they did. And it was important to them. Like, because there is a scene where she kisses somebody in front of the Torah, and so her dad's like, I can't believe you did that.
You can't kiss in front of the Torah.
Yeah, and so it was like this big deal that it was like in the kind of the holy
Holy
place
in the house of the Lord.
Yeah, and so he's like, hey, you did that in front of the Torah, or whatever, and so there is like a respect for the Word of God. Like it's not, it wasn't just like, oh, we're Jewish because that's how we were born.
Yeah.
It's like, no, this is your life, and it was important to them, and so and it was interesting, like her wrestling with that, like, well, maybe I don't want to do this or that kind of thing, and so, but yeah, I think at some of that, like they believe some of the same stuff we do until Jesus comes along. So it felt that, but you also have that like hypocrisy, right? Of like, okay, I'm doing all these bad things, but I'm Jewish. Yeah, I'm a good person, or that kind of thing, and so, but I mean, in it, she kind of realizes I'm not a good person.
Yeah.
You know, all that, but yeah, and so with content wise, like it kind of does push that worldview of like following after God and what He calls us to do instead of what we want to do. So
Interesting.
I don't know.
Okay.
But check out the content if you think you want to watch it, because I did enjoy it very much and might have teared up a little bit at the end.
When they were kissing in front of the Torah.
Man, that Torah kiss.
Between 7th graders. Woo! Weird.
Oh, goodness.
Okay.
Speaking of weird.
It's time for Florida Foibles. Oh, man. Just the headline on this one is
I'm ready for it.
Fantastic.
Let's go.
Clogged toilet leads to 5 arrests at Papa B's restaurant in Longwood.
Oh my!
5 arrests.
Here we go.
Do you even really need to read the article?
I don't even think we need the article.
Yeah. So basically, the restaurant had closed, and these patrons were still there, 5 of them, and they were kind of just being rowdy. And one of them went to the bathroom and just excessive toilet paper stuffed it in the toilet. And so one of the employees went in and was like, "Okay, hey, you guys need to leave." Like she went out and said, "Hey, you need to leave." And then the woman got loud, jumped up in her face, punched the waitress.
Oh my goodness!
And the other 4 jumped in, and so basically the ladies that jumped the lady said, no, she came out and got loud with us and was saying stuff, but then they threw cups, salt shakers at them while they're trying to break up the fight, according to the police. And so like the other workers were trying to break it up, and then they just were like, beating this lady up. So they got arrested, ranging from ages 19 to 26.
Okay,
So,
they're young adults.
But what is Papa B's? That's what I'm like.
It's the sister company of Applebee's.
Applebe's and Papa John's.
They come together. Yeah, it's
So
like
they
how
serve
some
appetizer
Taco Bell
pizza.
and Wendy's are put together. So it's
pizza
Papa B's.
and mediocre.
Appetizers?
pizza and appetizers.
Yeah. Do you like Applebee's?
I get the chicken strips.
I didn't ask what you got there. I said, do you like Applebee's?
The chicken strips.
You like the chicken strips?
So do you go there when it's your choice?
Nah, I haven't gone there in probably 2.5 years.
Are you an Applebee's?
No. I mean, I don't. When I go there,
More of a
I'm not
Papa
like, this
B's.
food is terrible, but I just haven't ever gone there in years.
Yeah. The food is not. The service was always really slow. I don't like Applebee's, but.
You got
All right.
punched by the waitress.
But no, so this worldview of these ladies, it's just like I could do what I want. Like I hate going to restaurants after they've closed. Like if they're about to close or almost close,
okay.
I won't go. Like I'm like, all right, I'm not going to make them stay longer and all this stuff.
That's a common courtesy. So
Yeah,
you can clean
so
up.
the place is already closed, but then they're going making more work for these people by just being jerks and clogging the toilet. So
I wonder if there was alcohol involved.
Or what if they were
Seems like-
recording it and then they said it's just a prank, bro? Then it doesn't count.
Ugh.
oh yeah, it's just a prank.
It was just a prank.
Things we do for social media. Should they
It went
Making
viral on
money off of
TikTok.
it.
Yeah, let's make some money off of it.
That's true. Yeah, I mean, I've seen, and it's interesting, a lot of...
Jimmy, that was a segue for
Wait,
your
wait,
next
wait.
segment.
He's getting to it.
Yeah, we'll get to that. But I was talking about, I have seen a lot of, especially like younger, like junior high boys, like recording themselves in public, just doing these absolutely absurd, obnoxious things and putting it on TikTok. And they'll get almost 1 million views on it. So they'll go into like the Taco Bell bathroom and then just like scream as loud as they can for like 30 seconds saying, "Help me, help me, help me." And then they're like, "Okay, you need to leave."
So
Oh
are they in the bathroom recording it?
No. So their friend is outside recording it, but they have a mic on.
Okay.
Yeah.
And so they're...
But they just do all this completely obnoxious stuff and record it. And then get kicked out, but then they keep doing it because they keep getting 1 million views.
Yeah.
Oh, man.
Yeah. So what was the segue again? Speaking of
Things because they do that stuff to make money.
to make money,
Make views and money.
speaking of making money, so if you follow the YouTube world or the
Clueless.
Twitter world, then you might have seen
Twitter's gone now. X.
the
X
X world in the YouTube world. You may have seen that Jacksepticeye, Irish YouTuber, longtime YouTuber,
Don't know him.
called out Mr. Beast.
Uh-oh.
So
Uh-oh.
not directly. So he was
Oh,
making a video. He had like this arm thing on. He was doing a lie detector test,
Okay.
and one of the questions was, "Do you like Mr. Beast?" And he said no.
Oh.
And then he said, "Do you think?"
Was that
he-
true? Did the lie?
Yeah.
say-
So it was true.
Oh.
And then he said, "Do you think Mr. Beast ruined YouTube?" And he said yes. And then he kind of expanded on that by saying, basically, Mr. Beast, it's become all about the views, all about making money, and it's not about having fun anymore. So he just thinks that Mr. Beast doing that is just making it where everyone on YouTube is just chasing the money and not actually having fun, and therefore ruining YouTube. But Mr. Beast actually replied.
Oh.
Yeah. So he popped back.
Hot take. I didn't
Yeah.
know this. You didn't tell us this.
So yeah. So Mr. Beast said, "So I ruined YouTube because I didn't buy a mansion and sports cars, and instead reinvested my money into making content, focused on doing good, inspiring kids to help people." And then he was saying, if he had fun, the videos would be longer. That's what Jacksepticeye say. He said, "What does that even mean? You think I'd give up every hour of my life for 14 years if I didn't have fun? This clip is insanely disrespectful, in my opinion. And obviously, there's so much more I could say about his content, but I'll take the punches and be the bigger man." Sigh.
Oh.
Yeah. So he was
now a feud. A
So
YouTube
wait,
feud.
Jack Septic? What's his name?
Septic
Jacksepticeye.
guy.
Septiceye?
Septic Eye.
It sounds like a Pokemon.
It is Pokemon.
Septiceye, I choose
Yeah,
you.
but
Or
so
like
I
a
haven't watched a lot of Jacksepticeye.
Bad villain. Septic.
So
guy.
he's Irish, and he always starts he always starts the videos with "top of the morning to you."
Oh, I
So
like
I thought he was a pretty nice guy, but then he was taking these shots at Mr. Beast.
If you have an Irish accent, you automatically
That's
sound
true.
nice.
He did sound nicer. But so this idea of because I was thinking about this, a lot of the Gen Zers out there, and I think this is different, especially with like older generations, is when you're thinking about what you want to do for your job or your career, you think about what are the things you're passionate about and what are the things you enjoy doing. And then ideally, you want to find a job doing that.
Right.
And is that the best way to do it? And because I think sometimes that can be not so good.
Well, because I had a friend that worked for the Tampa Bay Rays baseball team.
Baseball.
And he loves baseball and still loves baseball. Still don't know why. But but in that, like, he loved what he did, but he had to travel a lot because it's baseball. It's baseball, right? So it's Field of Dreams reference.
I didn't get that one.
But they, in it, they had like, he has to travel, and he then got married and has kids now, and so he's like, okay, do I give up this career I love to be with my family more? Because it was a lot of away time, and so he did. And then now he's like, yeah, now I definitely have. Well, he didn't call it a career, but maybe he called it a job. He's like, I have a job. Like it's like he doesn't enjoy it, and so but he's like, but it pays the bills, and I can be home with my family. And so it was just interesting, like yeah, he had this job that he really liked and all this stuff, but at the same time, it was taking him away from the things that he really loved more than baseball, his family, which is good.
Yeah. So that's what. Oof. I feel like it has to do with somebody's personality. Like, even if you have to have something to pay the bills, let's say, then I feel like that means your value is not in your work necessarily, but your home life.
Yeah.
But you can find value in your work no matter what. And that depends on like find the people you're around, like how you view your job, even if it is like we like to at our work, we try to help people find value in their job. That's part of what we do. And it's like the people who drive the barge down the river, because we watch them all the time. And one guy says like we met a guy who like loads the coal onto the barges.
Yeah.
And he is like, I literally do that all day. He's like, I'm meaningless. Like, he just like hates his life.
Yeah.
And so we said, well, what happens if you don't do that job? And he was like, well, then coal wouldn't go down the river. I'm like, okay, well, what happens if coal doesn't go down the river? And he's like, well, then it wouldn't provide like these fuels for other towns to have electricity and stuff. I'm like, so your job is actually really necessary for the people down the river. And he was like, I've never thought of that before. And so then he came back later and like thanked us, because he was like,
Who's us? Who was you and?
Like for Evansville or whatever.
Yeah.
Of just like, really it was Jonathan, but because Jonathan's the one that had the conversation with him. But he's like, thank you for helping me see my job as like a bigger picture. And so that's what we try to ask is like, what happens if there wasn't anyone doing your job? So anyway, all that to say is like, even if you're not doing your dream job, you can figure out the value and meaning in your own work. And then like, why aren't you doing your dream job? Is it money, or just can't do it?
Is that where the side hustle comes in? I feel like the side hustle is like the big
That's
thing.
like the thing now.
That is the thing.
I got my side hustle.
Everybody's got to have
like
one.
My hobbies, but I'm monetizing them.
Yeah.
How can I make money on this?
Right, exactly.
But so Jack
Which is
Kerouac
the
or whatever,
millennial culture.
Septiceye. So close.
Did he? I'm just kidding. Does he make money on his videos?
Yeah. So I did see a reply, someone else on the Twitter thread. They were saying that
X thread.
on the X thread, thank you. So Jack, he uploads a lot of gaming content, and he, for like the past probably 8 years, he's uploaded like 2 videos a day, which is a lot.
Yes.
Yeah.
So it's like, if you are, because they said like no one is going to be uploading to that degree if they weren't trying to get the most money they could, essentially.
Right. And if he's worried about it, you can not monetize, right?
Yeah. So yeah,
he
you could
not
do
make
that.
money for his content and be like, I do this for love.
Yeah.
No, you don't.
Well, and that's the thing.
People would like it more if it was free. So that's, I feel like he's being a bit hypocritical.
Yeah, and that's the thing, because I mean, he's been on the platform for a long time, and he's made a lot of money from it. So, and because there was another person that replied saying, with anything you do, even if it's playing video games for a living, you'll have aspects of it that are fun, and you're going to have some aspects that are not fun. That's just a part of it.
Yeah.
So, but you have a YouTube channel.
I do have a YouTube channel.
Why did you want to start it? Did you do it to make money, or did you do it for the love of the game?
The reason I first started it is because on YouTube, because there's a lot of different things you have to do when creating YouTube. You have to know how to film, have to know how to edit, create thumbnails, talk to the camera, everything like that. So the reason I actually started was to build all those different skills. Oh. And I thought that was a good way to do it. And then also help people that are starting on YouTube, just because I'm really passionate about it. So it wasn't necessarily to make money from the beginning. I think a lot of people can make money from YouTube. But when I started, it was just to build my own skills.
Okay. Now, how much money are you making a month now?
So far, $0.
Oh, nice.
I actually spend more money. Yeah. Well, but this is the
You gotta
thing.
spend money to make money.
That's it. That's not true. Anyway, so for the people my age or younger watching, it's like, how do you go about picking what you want to do for a career? Do you try to go for your dream job, what you're passionate about? Or because I have seen some people that they work their standard 9 to 5, like they work at a grocery store or something, and they clock out at 5 o'clock, and then they can turn their brains off completely from it.
Right.
And then I'm sure for us working at a church or a nonprofit, it's a little bit different. It's like to some degree your mind is always working on it.
Yeah.
It's not like you just clock out and you totally forget about it. So I see the benefit of that too.
Yeah.
So how should we pick a career?
I mean, I think it just really, like I said, it depends on the person. Like if you want to do that, I feel like I go through phases because I worked at Starbucks for a while and I still look back on that. It's like, I really enjoyed that because I could clock out and not have to think about it until I went back the next day. Did I have stress dreams all the time about getting people's orders wrong?
Oh, goodness.
Yes.
Really?
So that was really bad for my mental health in the long run because people are mean about their coffee.
They don't play around.
But it's like I also have 8 hours of the day. I think for me it was doing the math of like over time, how long am I spending doing this?
Yeah.
Do I really want to spend years and years of my life, making coffee for people? And for some people that is like, I mean, that's why Starbucks even started, is their passion for creating spaces for community.
Yeah.
And so if you have that mindset, like, yeah, that's great. But I think for me, it was like, I need there to be some purpose in my work, and I'm going to sacrifice money because church and nonprofit world
Get that
is
money.
not the most financially, beneficial. But
Yeah.
I'm happy in my job, very happy, and also like, yeah, we make enough to get by.
Yeah. And well, it's funny because I remember talking to my grandfather. We were in the car, and I said something like, yeah, I'd rather make less money but really enjoy my job than make more money and hate my job.
Yeah.
And he kind of looked at me. He's like, when I was getting a job, like what I liked doing was not even a part of the conversation.
Yeah, definitely the older generations are
born in like
don't
1932.
understand that concept.
It's like, you're not supposed to like your job. You go and do it and you make money. And then, but 8 hours a day, that's a third of your life that you ended up spending there. So, but I do appreciate the, thinking of it, of whatever you're doing right now, you can find meaning in it.
Yeah.
And there's a Alex Ramosi quote that says, the work works on you more than you work on it. Which means that whatever you're doing, even if it's some menial task, you doing it is kind of, you can work on building your character, being the best version of yourself, and doing things with excellence, even if it's flipping burgers at McDonald's.
Right.
Yeah.
You can be the best darn burger flipper they ever saw.
Right.
Well, I have one of the elders at my other church, my previous church. He got his start in McDonald's, and he just started working there as a kid, and he was like, oh, I really like this. I like what the company values and all that stuff. And he saw a path forward in that. And he's like, that's how he went to college. That's how he went. And he became a big financial guy. But it was because McDonald's has that path that if you want to do that and want to pursue higher management, all that stuff, it's possible. And so I do appreciate jobs that will help you on that career path.
Well, we interviewed a guy who, he started off, he's like, I didn't go to college. I barely graduated high school. But so the only job I could get was in a factory. And he said, but there were 2 men in the factory who just gave me rides. They pushed me, said you can. Get out of here.
They pushed me over.
They started investing in him, and then he realized these people are super valuable to me. I want to be really valuable to people like that too. And so he started working his way up, and now he owns his own plastics company. And he has, a factory lineman job that he oversees. And he's like, I take every single employee out to lunch or breakfast or whatever, and I make sure that I care about them more than the job that they're doing for me. But in turn, they do the best work because they know that what they're doing matters and that they can someday,
See that forward.
Yeah, see
the
that
forward
momentum.
picture of like, this is what I'm doing.
And so like it's truly like whatever your job is, you can always invest in people because you're going to be working with people.
And so I know we have some teenagers, some upcoming future workers that listen to this. And so think about that. Like, okay, I know you want to get a job at a fast food place or whatever, make that money. Whatever you want to do.
Or you actually don't want to get jobs there, but you kind of are limited and you have to.
You're like, I need money.
You're right.
Yeah, so, but think about that. Like, are you just doing it to make money, or are you doing it to actually invest in what you want for your future? And so, and I think you can do that anywhere because it's how you have that attitude at the job that you're at. That you want to do it with excellence and all that. And so.
Yeah, and you never know, especially being a Christian and, trusting in the Lord's guidance and sovereignty in your life, is going to work with the attitude of how can I serve others today and how can I be the best I can in my job, but also like I don't know 10 years down the road how the Lord's going to use me. So I feel like I was very confused at why I ended up at Starbucks. But now, as 15 years have gone by since I've worked there, which is crazy. I'm so old. I have seen time and time again how God has used that time in my life, which is crazy. So you just never know.
So since we talk about the Christ-centered worldview, that job, like jobs, all that stuff, like whatever you do,
do unto the Lord.
Work as if you're working for the Lord, not for men. And so you may have a job that you're in right now that you're like, this is the worst. But like, okay, if God was my boss, which he is, like how would I approach that differently? If like every day I show up to work and God's like, hey, I want you to flip burgers or I want you to mow the grass or whatever it is, how would you do that differently if your life is centered on Christ? And so, and that goes for schoolwork, that goes for like everything. And so everything you do, work at it as if you're working for God, not for people. And I think that for me, that switches my perspective. And so I'll recommend a book, The Practice of the Presence of God by Brother Lawrence, because he was a monk that washed dishes in a monastery. And he talks about how he just used that time to deepen his faith with the Lord just by doing menial, which we would look at and be like, that's a low job. You're just washing dishes from other monks.
There's another book series called The Hawk and the Dove. And it is also, but it's each, I don't know if it's each chapter, but it's, you get to know all the monks and all their jobs. And how each one of them contributes, but also how they wrestle with the tasks that they're doing. So if you want to read some good monk books,
shout out to monk books.
Brother Lawrence and Hawk and the Dove.
Is Hawk and the Dove, is it fiction?
Yes, I believe it is.
Brother Lawrence is real.
Real stuff.
Real stuff.
Keep it real.
Hey, it's time to wrap up because I gotta go preach a funeral. Officiate a funeral. I don't know what's the proper word for that.
Not preach.
Not officiate either. It's like a wedding.
We'll figure it out.
I've got to go do a funeral. I don't know what to say there. Okay, so hey, I'm Chris.
I'm Adrian.
And I'm Jimmy.
We'll see you next time.